So today we're going to take a look at two Hiya Toys products at the same time. One of them being a figure that we waited 10 goddamn years. The other is just a better Monster Arts 2014 with just Bandai bullshit on the face. More so later on. If you're interested in these figures, by all means go get them at Gundemic where they are rightfully available in the link in the description. With 2014, maybe not Muto, but there are other Hiya Toys products that are rightfully available that you can either order or pre-order, which you can also use code Miky to support this channel. Oh, and by the way, if you see the like and subscribe and you haven't done that, you better fucking do it, I swear to fucking god. Now first things first, we're gonna... Wait. Am I really going to do the exact same thing as Jabba the Hutt? Am I really just going to do the most outrageous thing by literally committing the most plagiarizing thing ever? After all, that is something that H-Bomber guy literally stated, where everyone is just a bunch of hacks who just uses plagiarism just to take more credit than the actual person. So am I going to go down with the rabbit hole of this shameful plagiarism, or am I going to do my own thing where I actually has more to say other than just copying other people just for the sake of entertainment? Maybe I can become my own thing. First things first, we're going to take a look at his articulation. We have a lot to cover. Yeah, apologies. Before we continue with yeah, I think we're gonna wait for that. Let's just talk about one of the figures, alright? Anyways, let's move on to Big G since I already talked too much about this guy that I haven't already said. So let's go and focus on the Female MUTO, a kaiju that has been longfully awaited 10 years. Yep, it took us 10 years to get this bitch. And honestly, it was worth the wait. Because NECA never did it, and Bandai, while they sort of did some vinyl-like figures and a severed female MUTO head on the Spitfire Godzilla figure for SX Monster Arts, but never a posable action figure of a female MUTO, nor the Hawk MUTO. So for Hiya Toys to actually give us the honor to actually have a physical copy that isn't just a 3D printed one of this well-beloved and also a bit generic kaiju that we always wanted in our collection. Was the wait worth it? Oh yeah, it kinda is. And if you also notice that the female MUTO does not have the orange glow, that indicates that the eggs are inside. But to be fair, this is literally her probably emptying her eggs from her sack, because she doesn't want to risk her babies to be hurt while battling, which honestly is a better and more responsible parent than any fictional character that you've seen so far. I'm talking about you, Spider-Woman from Across the Spider-Verse. Like, literally, why would you risk your babies to get hurt by fighting enemies? Makes no sense. Anyway, aside from that rant, what do I feel about this figure? It's fucking glorious. Like, holy crap, the overall figure is on point on how the MUTO is supposed to look like. Like, this is how she is supposed to looking like where I literally saw her in the film. Well, sometimes the scenes are quite dark, especially the finale, but when it was literally light, this is literally how you imagine the MUTO looking like. Now, I will literally point out the negatives first, since there's no perfection in figures, and there are some flaws, unfortunately. First of all, is the connection. While I literally tried to check, with the logos of Toho and Legendary inside, which is nice. There's also this piece which is minor critique, but it is something that you should be noted, since this is a rubber piece that you should be careful, otherwise you will literally tear it apart. And you can see that if you pull it too hard, it will just damage the top section of the head. And another thing about the head is that it's just on a hinge joint. It does not have a lot of movement, not even a ball joint to look left and right, which is unfortunate. Especially since with her hoops, it's just on a hinge joint, just up and down, and no pivot. But you can rotate it to indicate one, but that just looks... Ugh, she's broken her foot. Or her hoofs. Either way. All I will say is that those are just the only flaws, and of course no accessories. This is just almost borderline perfect representation of the Female MUTO. It just looks glorious. I mean, the red visor of her head is just the visor like eyes. It's just perfectly red glossy paint. The mouth and the tendons, the beak like mouth is just well sculpted, and you can see the sculpted details of the teeth, and of course the tongue, which is just on a rubber, and don't know if it's actually a movable piece, but I do know that it is just sculpted there to indicate that she has a tongue, which is nice, and almost looks like she's a parrot. Almost made me laugh. But yeah, and then we also have the membranes, which is painted nicely, a little bit sloppy here and there, but it actually looks like she has some shading, which is pretty nice. While her belly could have used a little, or actually I don't mind her belly not being painted, since it's probably her belly being emptied out. I do love the kind of appearance that she is like a combination of the Cloverfield monster with the hind arms on the back, the longer arms that you see here, while the front of the arms, the front legs right here, literally has the posture of a Aztec pterosaur. If you don't know what it is, it's literally like pterosaurs but looking like big giraffes that can fly. And probably run like a giraffe. Oh boy. So yeah, it's pretty damn neat and honestly a very unique looking monster. That has some are paying homage of some other monsters. I know that in some kind of concept art that they were supposed to be looking more like insects with these kind of limbs, but chose to have a little bit more interesting design, which I think is actually executed pretty well. Aside from having some issues like, well, some limbs popping off, which I should also point out that under the box these ball joints were very tight, so I recommend that you heat it up with a hairdryer or some silicone grease, which did fix the problem. Just add a little bit and you should be fine. And of course don't force it, otherwise you will break the mushroom leg. Other than that, that's literally all I have to say about the Female MUTO, nothing new. Again, as I stated before, for that's literally all I have to say. I mean, the articulation is just straight on literally visible in the figure. Like, the only ball joints that you will have is literally on these tiny arms and the hooks, which is nice, but the rest of the figure is just swivel hinge joints, which honestly has some limitations, but of course if you heat it up it will be a little bit more smooth. But I'm not that mad about the limited articulations that you see right here, with the claws right here just being on hinge joints, very tight, and honestly very solid figure. It does give a little bit more natural kind of look, and I'm kind of glad that it's not too ridiculously posable. I mean, she also has a waist swivel that is on a ball joint, and of course popping off, but that's okay. But a little bit iffy about the single hinge on the leg, and a little bit just limited possibility on the back legs, or the hind legs really. But Either way, it is still possible to get more natural poses that feels like more natural. And also, the only thing that limits is your imagination. And what I mean by that is that to get more creative is literally using your imagination. You can get so much creativity and so much cool poses of this girl. The overall creativity is quite endless, so you can do so much fun stuff despite some limitation of some joints. Like, it is pretty damn cool. Like that. It looks menacing and I love it. And now let's talk about the big G himself, and oh my god, who sold their soul to make this figure. Like, I cannot fathom to say that they actually made took their time to actually update the figure than what they showed the prototype for the overall promotional pictures, which it is just night and day. And of course there is a sort of a visible pin shape, but it's just a woody sculpt, so it's not really a pin. It's just the sculpt just imitating one. But yeah, the overall sculpting of this one, I mean, the paint apps, I mean, what can I say other than there's some criticism that this hand does pop off really easily. It's very simple, it just pops back on very easily, and probably the spines being a little bit too rubbery, but other than that, yeah, this is literally the 2014's design that we all know and love. Like, I still know that we had 2019 now with his design, but 2014 when he was released, I was hyped. And the paint apps, it's just glorious, and you can see some shading of brown or reddish coloring of the figure, which is just, yeah, it is, you know, this is supposed to be the 2014 design with the coloring of the reptile that we know, and honestly looks like a updated version of NSX Monsters, yet it is not NSX Monsters, yet it is some NSX Monster we should have gotten back in 2014, yet we never got. And instead of Bandai, it was Hiya Toys that gave us this figure. And boy does it really show. The coloring of the greenish skin underneath the tan color, yeah, it's pretty obvious that this is supposed to be the 2014. Even have the iconic gills that this Godzilla have, which just shows that he is a reptilian living under the sea. And the head sculpt looks amazing in certain areas. Oh boy. I appreciate that you took our criticism and actually gave us a little bit more range like in SX Monster Arts. We didn't mean that you should also have the same paint quality as Bandai. Yeah, we still have the messy paint that looks like he's been eating some MUTO. Well, as the eyes, that is just lacking details compared to 2019's, actually does look straight on. There's still some paint apps and details that is a little bit, well, lacking. Such as the lack of detail in the mouth, which is just muted compared to 2019. And the teeth, well, it's there, looks more like dentures. Yeah, it could have been a little bit more improved. Bit disappointing, but hey, still better than SX Monsters. As for accessory for this Big G, and yes, he does come with accessories, which he comes with closed fists, which looks like he's prepared to fight or holding the Mjolnir. Yeah, that's pretty much the accessory for him. But don't worry, there will be a heat ray version that will actually come with an atomic breath. And some dorsal spines that actually will be blue. If there's one thing I will give Hiya credit, is that they have improved the articulation. One of them being the throat area. And do you see any difference? I will put up a picture between the 2014 and 2019, and you can see that in 2019, where you can check out my review, I stated that my criticism of that figure was the lack of range due to them using a simple double ball joint system, where it's just one rod instead of just multiple to give more the movement of the neck joint, since while the neck joint for 2019 was pretty good, it had some limitations that prevent me to call it a perfect figure. This, on the other hand, they used instead of one, but two double ball joint systems on a cylinder connection. And not only is it a perfect update, and also make the head connection a little bit more easy to pop in and pop out, but it gives the neck joint more range than how previous 2019 pretty much gave us. And that is the biggest improvement I just love. It makes the whole figure feel more natural, it has more creativity, it has more expression than how you previously would get from previous figures. Of course, the downside is the gap, but I can live with that since that's pretty much how other SE monsters have some gaps, which doesn't bother me that much. But it is pretty impressive how you get more motion from this figure. If you hit up even more, I can guarantee that the range will be even more impressive. And another impressive thing that 2019 hasn't got that 2014 actually have now is a double hinge joint. And not just, oh, it's a double hinge joint where you can get just a 90-degree bend. They exceed a double elbow joint system. Take that, Godzilla evolved from SE Small Stars. And another thing that also is improvement, the range of the knee joint. That isn't just a double knee joint, that is more than a 90-degree knee bend that you can pretty much get more articulation, and is a far improvement over previous figures. Since the previous figure does have a double knee joint, but it is connected on a ball joint that prevents it from having more range. That is how far you can bend the figure, while this figure exceeds that range, and that is the most impressive thing I've ever seen so far. Not even Bandai could actually exceed that much range of a Godzilla figure, and I haven't seen that much greater range than, I must say, Final Wars. And then we have the tail, which of course have 11 segments, which, while it is fewer than previous SE Monsters figures, and it does pop up too, but it has more, you need a lot of force to pop it off, like just like that. But the other end is pretty more flexible, and it also can stay up, which the SE Monsters does not. And you know what doesn't do that SE Monsters have? Tail that pop-ups way too easily. Like, I do love the multiple segments of SE Monsters, and of course this is a kind of a consistency, but it isn't that annoying. It just happens when you pull on it too hard, and yeah, okay. I retract my statement. That is something that is kind of a bit of inconsistency, but other than that, it isn't frustrating than an SE Monsters. I'll guarantee that. Same as the rest of the SE Monsters, which you can look at in the, yet again, I put up the link. Every Godzilla has pretty much the same articulation. It has not changed that much from 2019. The articulation is still the same with the double ball joint system, which can spread with the Godzilla grundle. The articulation of the waist still can go 360 degrees if you are very cautious, and a double ball joint system on the hand for more range. And of course, who can forget the mouth and tongue articulation, which is a little bit hard to do, but if you have a small tool like a little screwdriver, the range can be more effective. And maybe heat up the figure yet again. But that's more about the range of articulation and the improvement of the figure. And so far, I am impressed. What makes these figures even more impressive are their size. Yep, 17 centimeters. So here we have both MUTO and Godzilla 2014 next to my other SH Monsters and Hiya figures. And you can see the selling point of Godzilla, and MUTO is the overall scale of these monsters. And I guarantee it, all that is a perfect scale just to show how big Godzilla 2014 is next to Godzilla from the Heisei series, while how this figure, the 2019, almost exceeds the scale with Shin Godzilla. And that is why I just love Hiya Toys, is how they actually took their time to make the scale look more impressive than it is, since Godzilla has grown even bigger as the film series goes on, and it just brings my heart with joy. And of course, here we have them next to Godzilla involved, which is pretty neat. How's it going, you doofus? Of course, here we have Godzilla and MUTO next to the Doomslayer and RC, and other figures I have in my collection. And lastly, for the size comparison, here we have Female MUTO and Godzilla 2014 from Hiya next to NECA Godzilla 2014 24-inch head-to-tail version. I couldn't fucking resist. I love that voice chip. Thank goodness this size comparison over. Otherwise, what else would I do other than just doing another plagiarism reference of a famous YouTuber doing the size comparison? Oh fuck. I can't explain. Let's just
let's stand up straight so she has.
Oh boy, here they come.
A few moments later.
Damn, are you right, Miky? Yeah, a little bit of just an ache. I'll be fine. Sure. So, my final conclusion. If you think that these figures are worth the wait, they definitely are. Hiya Toys, MUTO, and Godzilla 2014 are wonderful additions to the Hiya Toys lineup, and I can highly recommend picking these two up if you're a Godzilla fan or just want a better alternative to an SH Monster Arts and don't want to spend over $100 on those. But despite the obvious flaws these both figures have, they can be forgiven, since Hiya did the unthinkable thing and did what the other companies do not. Listen to customers' feedback. They could easily just go deaf ears, going all in with the Monopoly game, just getting more IPs and just skip on the quality control issues. But they didn't. Hiya simply listened to their customers and cooked us some really delightful Godzilla products that exceeds our expectations, updated the articulation, and made it into a reality. It's baffling how this modern Bandai stuff just keeps disappoint us, while Hiya just takes the throne of glory, and the train just ruins the moment. Great. These are the stuff that you should get sooner rather than later games, since these Hiya Toys Godzilla products sells out real quick, and it shows because people really like this alternative. It's honestly a sign that Bandai should be sweating right now. If you honestly think I would buy a Bandai modern product that literally updates to 2014 sculpt or give us a MUTO that would be costing $100 or $200, I would pass on that. No, thank you, sir. They really just suck at making Monsterverse figures lately. I mean, have you seen the Shimo or Scar King, or even Zuko with Mothra? Dear God, what the hell has happened? Hiya truly gave us that band don't. They both are solid. They both have both good qualities. The materials are top notch, and they are tons of fun messing around. And they both can survive a shelf dive. Of course, not throwing them around like crazy on purpose. What are you, a goddamn child? Hiya keeps announcing while also not releasing their products in time, but honestly that's better than just rushing their figures and make them just sloppy as hell. And every time they announce their products, the more hyped I get. So Hiya, if you're listening to me, keep improving your products, and honestly, I look forward to your latest Godzilla product. Because, yeah, that one slaps. Oh yeah. And next time will be... What? Hold on. All I want to say is thank you all so much for watching. I really mean it. Sorry about the whole hiatus. I've been really busy with my real job and pretty much taking care of my personal life. But I'm back, and honestly, I'm now focusing on pretty much releasing more stuff that I pretty much planned. Even trying to get the movie masterpiece, the Decepticon review going. If you like this video and want to see more, make sure to leave a like on this video, comment down below what you think of these two, your honest opinion, what you like about it, or what could have been improved. Share it with others, and hey, while you're at it, maybe subscribe to this channel and while hitting the bell button so you can keep the algorithm gods happy while they can recommend my videos. That's literally how it goes. And if you want to support your channel even further, I do have a channel membership that you could pretty much go and support. I even have my own emotes, which will be updated later on if you want to choose to support me. That's all I had to say. Now remember, only time will tell what I'm about to do next. But until then, I hope I will see you all next time. Have a good day, everybody.